Hello there, this is Eon97 and welcome back to another Wait, what? Shenanigans aside, I wanted to try something new with that intro. Hope you enjoyed it. Today we're going to be going over Shadow Mewtwo raids, and in this video we're going to touch the good, the bad, and the missing, or maybe the shiny. That being said, let's go ahead and get started by going over first the good. So starting off the good thing is that in general there weren't any bugs, to be honest. And the bugs that we did have were very few and far in between. The only one that we occasionally had was connection issues. But other than that, it actually went off pretty flawlessly. Which I feel like I don't say enough anymore. But that's honestly just a rare win for Niantic. I really feel bad saying that. Their track record over the last few years especially is poor. Another win was the amount of raids that were actually available on Saturday. It was really good. We'll cover Sunday on that. The Purified Gems drop rate was actually really good as well. For the most part, you could use 1 to 2 every single raid and continue to make them back. So it was essentially self-efficient. You didn't have to worry about running out, but you had the ability to do rockets in between raids to be able to get a little bit extra and work towards another Purified Gem. But overall, as long as you had a group of 3 or 4 every single raid, it was essentially self-efficient. So you didn't have to worry about having to take the extra time and take a loss on how many Mewtwo's you could have done, or just losing time to farm gems. Another good thing was keeping the 3XL candies per each completion. What Niantic could have done was remove that, because technically this was a legendary raid. It was a shadow legendary raid. So keeping that in was a sign of good faith, and it ensured that whenever you completed one, you would get 3XL candy every single time. Going hand in hand with that, Mewtwo seemed to have a decently high catch rate. A lot of people in the first time zones and on Saturday said that it seemed low, but out of 18 that I did on Sunday, I caught all 18. And my son did 21 because I had connection issues with him, and he was able to catch all 21. In fact, I think in our group of 5, we only had 2 total that ran. Dude, I feel like such a hypocrite, but I really can't think anything else good. Really trying. Overall, I think player turnout was okay for the most part. It is also going to kind of depend on your area in that sense. Compared to elite raids, there was definitely more people out and raiding in person, but even still, nowhere near as much as it used to be. I have very fond memories of like Kyogre raid hour when it first came out. You would see 30 plus people at one gym. With Mewtwo, we only ran into 2 groups in this town, and the town that I live in, there were a few groups that were basically just off in any which ways. But the issue is that going from one side of the town to the other where I live takes 30 to 35 minutes, depending on traffic. So it's not ideal at all. I know that's bad to say, but I think that pretty much covers all of the good. So let's move on to the bad. Putting this one in last second. One good thing that I like that I did not include was the fact that Niantic did not heavily buff Mewtwo. Mewtwo was able to be done as a duo, and you could do it as a trio fairly easily. Niantic could have pushed Mewtwo up to a tier 6 level or even higher, but they didn't. As odd as that is to say, I think that was a major win because that did help other people who were in a tougher spot to actually be able to complete Shadow Mewtwo raids. So I give that a win. So now it's time to get started on the bad. Bad is going to be a little bit biased towards Sunday because I did not play Saturday. I did not have the ability to play on Saturday. Now, Sunday, one very poor decision was made. That poor decision was to mix Regigigas with Shadow Mewtwo. And to go hand in hand with that, Shadow Mewtwo should have been at almost every single gym. You could have occasionally sprinkled in the regular 1 and 3 star Shadow raids. By not having Mewtwo at every single raid, it basically made the raid days car and raid. Even in an area with lots of gyms, usually only one would have Shadow Mewtwo, sometimes 2. And they were not within walking distance. Really, the only thing that this did was push people to raid in cars and not be on foot. Occasionally, you could go on foot between them, but why would you when the next gym you're going to have to double back to your car to drive across town to? Major F on it. The next big L is the item drops. Now, Purified Gems aside, because those were self-sufficient for the most part, regular item drops were not good at all. It's even worse, in case you couldn't tell from the thumbnail. Where's the Rare XL candy? Rare XL candy is supposed to be at a higher chance from in-person raids. When jumps on that train, the 3 XLs from beating Mewtwo and getting 3 Mewtwo XL or 3 Regigigas XL, if you did Regigigas, are not rare candy XL. Go back and look at the blogs. It clearly says that raiding in person has a higher chance. And before anyone tries to say, RNG is bad, you cannot tell me that 10,000 plus people did Mewtwo raids and no one got rare XL candy. We did over 200 on just Sunday alone in our group. And on Saturday, they did a heck of a lot more than that. No one got any rare XL candy. No one has any proof of the rare XL candy even being dropped. That is a massive fail and a massive L. Thing happened with the Hoenn raids for primals. Absolutely horrible. Pushing FOMO on people to get them to go out and raid, and then you're going to take away the most valuable resource and just erase it. Not say a single word. It's just going to go like Thanos snapped, and it's gone. You can argue that Shadow Mewtwo is the reward, but here's the thing. You need rare XL candy. There should not be a question of if it should be dropping. The question is, what should the drop rate be? And Niantic quietly taking it out of the pool and making it so it doesn't even drop. Massive, massive, massive fail. Biased? Yes. But it's very true. And I feel like a lot of people are not holding Niantic accountable for that. Or just saying, well, it's not a big deal. It's a very big deal. It's a very, very, very big deal. And it should be. The next big fail was not being able to remove it all. Now, before anyone wants to chime in and say it, not every single person has a community or has multiple accounts or friends who play in the area who can play Shadow Mewtwo. We got separated from my main group and they went to another gym. We went to the next gym to line to wait. Had we not been at that gym and met up the only other group in the area who was trying to use Campfire to get actual raids done, they would not have been doing it. I can almost duo Mewtwo. I can do an easy trio with no issue. I can almost do it. We carried 3 lower level counts between me and my son, and that was the first time that they had succeeded in an actual Shadow Mewtwo raid on Sunday. I feel like Shadow raids were pushed to try to get people to go out, and that's why Mewtwo was dropped in at first. But it's not fair to people who don't have the ability to complete them. To not beat a dead horse, as Michael said himself. There's other games in anime. But alas, I digress. Not being able to promote was really bad. I think they could have put a limit on it, like a hard limit of 5, or even a hard limit of 3, just so people could get in and at least get a few. But I don't feel like completely limiting it to 0 and limiting it to in-person is the best idea. But that's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people share it and a lot of people don't. And to be honest, most of the people who don't share it are more privileged in areas with hundreds of people that play, or even dozens of people that play. They have the ability to play. But I digress again. I think the last major flaw of this event was really that there was no actual reward for it. Now, we kind of did cover this. The only thing that you're going to get is the 3XL Mewtwo candies when you defeat Mewtwo, and then you're going to get the ability to catch a Shadow Mewtwo, and if you catch it, you'll get more XL candy. But other than that, there really wasn't anything else to push people out to go raid. There wasn't increased experience, increased Stardust, there wasn't the XL candy, which was completely removed. There really just wasn't a reward to actually go out and raid. And the thing is, why this goes into a fail is because Niantic is really pushing in-person raiding, and yet they're not incentivizing people enough to actually go out and physically raid. If you don't have the incentive to go out and raid, are you really going to? Is what it comes down to. Yes, you get the 3XL candy if you complete it in person, but is that really enough to push someone out there anymore? Raiding has always been a controversial topic inside Pokemon Go, especially if you're an older player, you'll understand. Because so many times it's been brought up that raiding not only is a huge thing of FOMO, but it's also a huge paywall. Remote raids were something that allowed people to actually access a feature that to some had been completely blocked since the game had come out with them. But as raids have progressed, there really hasn't been much reason to actually do them. Now, I'm not saying we need to get 100,000 experience per raid or 20,000 Stardust, which, please, increase Stardust, that'd be nice. Plus the cat. But if there's not an actual incentive raid in person, like take Ultra Beast Day for example, 1 guaranteed XL candy. Time I have done 50 raids in person in a day since Latios' first appearance in raids. But not only that, it's the first time I have done over 30 raids in a day outside of primals. And the only reason that we did 52 primal raids is because we had a group of 13 people and every single gym had it. And the people that we were raiding with had a schedule planned out for every single gym. So it allowed us to hit every single one. I don't think that that's necessarily a huge fail, but it's definitely something that Niantic could have included that would have pushed more people out there to raid in person, because it just doesn't feel like there's much incentive there. I think that covers all the fails. The biggest takeaway is that Rare Candy XL being removed from the pool of drops was a really crappy move. However, I digressed, and the past is the past. Let's go over our final thoughts about the event as a whole. So, final thoughts on Shadow Mewtwo raids. Again, this will be a little bit biased because I did not play Saturday and I played Sunday. Saturday I feel like would have been a lot better to play, while Sunday not so much. I think overall the event actually went really well. I'm very happy that there wasn't any bugs, because in almost every single event that Niantic has, it's ridden with bugs, especially a new feature. This one went over really well, really good. Major kudos to that. But Niantic really dropped the ball on the reward structure, silently taking out rare XL candy and then making it all local. Honestly, Shadow Mewtwo raids were great for those who could indulge into it and actually have the ability to complete them, whether 3, 5, 10, 50, or I think the highest I seen was 88 by a non-spoofer. But there could have been basically a middle ground. Like I said, could have allowed like 3 of them to be remote, just put a cap on that, or even 2 or 1. One's a little low, but I mean, it's still a middle ground. But I feel like they dropped the ball on Saturday between mixing Gigas and Mewtwo as well. There's no reason that Regigigas should have been spawning, and it should have just been Shadow Mewtwo. They didn't make it so that basically you have to go to every single raiding car, but it also just wasn't the point to have Regigigas out there. So for most people, this event was a really good win. And then for the other half who can't play, it was a really big loss. But I think weighing the pros and the cons together, Niantic did a great job. But there's just not that incentive there to still go out and really raid as much as there should be. Silently taking away the rare XL candy from the drop rates, just like you did with Primals, was a really bad move. Honestly, I'm happy with the Shadow Mewtwo raid day on Sunday, but I'm not necessarily happy for Pokemon Go. I'm happy that I got to see my friends for the first time in well over a month. My raid group does not live here in the city that I live in. They live 40 minutes away. Some of them live 60, and we met up to do these raids. But, again, this comes down to you. It comes down to your location. And most of all, it comes down to your group. I have helped build multiple different communities. I have not built any here in Iowa since I moved here. I have not been a hardcore player like I used to be. And even with that being said, I can't comfortably continue to try to build communities because I don't have that pleasure and drive anymore for the game. But for those who had it and were in busy areas, they really got to reap the rewards of this. I think the event was good, but not for everybody. I feel really bad saying that too, but basically pushing out a large majority of your player base, pushing the other ones there, was not a good move. And then the second not good move was for a second time taking the Rare Candy XL out of the drop pool. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, you're just being a broken record at this point. If you do 10 raids and you're buying discounted coins from Turkey, or you're buying full price, that's still $10 or $1.40 that you've wasted by not having rare XL candies in the drop pool. Let's say you only got it on 2 out of every 10, so 1 out of 5. That's still 2 XL candies that you lost for every 10 raids, or 1 for every 5. So if you did 50 raids, that's 10 XL candies that you lost. Really, when you explain the concept of only losing that little bit, it doesn't sound like a lot. But then when you actually think about how expensive Rare Candy XL is, it really hits you. Oh, crap. I lost a lot of money. But again, I personally enjoyed this event. I think that it had its flaws, but really, the good was also there. I hope that everyone else got to enjoy it as well. Whether you got to enjoy it being with friends, whether you got to enjoy it seeing a new area, or whether you got to enjoy it just because you were able to raid because you had that ability to. With that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it here. If you enjoyed the video, and if you did, give it a like, and if you want to see more, subscribe. But I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below too. Just remember, be civil and be good people. We can all have different opinions and still agree to disagree as long as we're good to each other. This has been Xeon97. You have a wonderful rest of your day and take care. Bye.